Welcome to the Fetch instruction video. This is going to outline the instruction list that comes with each tool. After receiving the Fetch, you want to inspect each tool before use. It comes shipped in a protective case. We've got 2 screws that hold it into place with washers. Undo the screws and remove it from the case. When checking the tool, you want to make sure that everything is nice and even and flush. Ensure that the slides move freely. When pulling up on it, you should be able to drop it and fall back into its original position. When checking the functions on the tool, it should slide freely. If there's a hang-up, when checking the tool, it should slide freely. If there's any hang-up involved, you want to refer to the sheet on the back of the diagram on how to reset the tool to open it to move it freely. Step 3, testing the Fetch. Checking the functions of the tool and understanding how everything works is going to increase your chances of success. You want to use a scrap piece of pipe similar to what you're attempting to retrieve and slide the Fetch over the pipe and let the dogs seat into place and pull back up, and that should get the pipe back up out of the pipe the same or set the tool into the scrap piece of pipe, release and pull back up, and that should get the same I'm giving you all sorts of editing here.
I messed you up by saying that.
No, that's fine. Set the Fetch into the scrap piece of pipe and lift up. When dropping back down, hold the release mechanism, pull up, and release. Alright. The dog should move freely as the tool engages a pipe. When you pull up on it, that action will seat the dogs into place, provide the grip it needs to retrieve the pipe out of the well casing. Alright, step 4. Releasing slides are designed to release the tool from an unintended object like a tree root, maybe a wire, something in the way that it's not set to grab onto. Pulling up on the slides will disengage the dogs and allow the pipe, tree root, wire, whatever else is in the way to release from it. When pulling, there's no real way to know when this tool is going to lock into place. Bouncing it, pulling heavily, excessive force, anything can get this to really jam into place. So we don't know when that's going to lock those dogs into place, but when it does, it's going to hold on to it and it disengages the release mechanism. Excessive force, bouncing this, is going to put excess pressure on these dogs and lock those into place. When pulling, those dogs, they bite down into the side of that pipe, and at a certain point they're going to lock down and they're going to invert and put pressure on the side of this pipe. When those dogs invert, the Fetch will lock onto it and do the job it's supposed to. Step 5, checking the well. The Fetch works well in a straight well casing. It needs to have enough room to make it inside the casing to be able to find that pipe and pull it up. We don't know if there's earthquakes, anything that could shift that ground and move that well casing out of the way may not provide the correct angle for it. Let's grab a casing here for this. Okay. Step 5, checking the well. The Fetch works best with a straight well casing. Earthquakes, ground shifting, a casing that's not quite straight is it's gonna interfere with how the fetch operates. Checking the well, step 5. The fetch works best on a straight well casing. If that casing's been angled or damaged from an earthquake or a cave-in or other natural events, it might not be feasible to find the correct angle for the fetch to drop down and retrieve the pipe successfully. And you also want to ensure that that casing goes all the way to the bottom of the well to the pump. If your pump is submerged beyond the well casing, it may have blockage from gravel, dirt, sand, rock, other obstructions. So you want to make sure that that casing goes all the way down to the pump. All right, step 6, what to know about your well. In order to obtain a successful retrieval, there's several things that you need to know about your well. You don't know what the pipe or the pump might be stuck in. It could be mud or sand. There might be an obstruction like a rock. Okay. Step 5, what to know about your well. In order to obtain a successful retrieval, there's several factors that you need to consider with this. It might be unknown what the pipe or the pump is stuck in. It could be mud, you could have sand, rocks, it could be caught on something like a tree root as well. Another factor to think about on this is if the pump wire is still attached to the pipe or if it's dropped in the well. If so, that wire needs to be cleared so the fetch has a free path of travel to find that pipe. You don't want that to get hung up on your wire or another line that might be going through there as well. Paul, anything to add on that?
Yeah, that's the wrong scenario.
Okay. Step 8, retrieving the pipe or pump. When retrieving your pipe from your well casing, the best method is to drop it at different points along that casing. If you drop it all the way down and you don't catch it, pull it up, try a different position, drop it again along the edges of that well casing until it finds that pipe and retrieves it. That's it. All right. Step 9, how to remove the fetch from the pipe after retrieval. After you've retrieved your pipe from the pump, if those dogs have inverted and locked into place, simple way to release the fetch tool using a hammer or a mallet, you want to strike the fetch at the top and drive those dogs up, releasing the tension on the pipe. Pull up on the retrieval line and release it from the pipe.